Alright, following the Lakers signing Marcus Smart, waiving Jordan Goodwin, waiving Shake Milton, waiving Trey Jemison, even signing 2 new two-way contracts or I guess rather bringing back Christian Koloko and signing a new two-way contract, that being Chris Mannon, they gotta be done, right? Well, maybe not. According to reports, they have still been active on the trade market, they still have an open roster spot, and still have an open two-way contract spot too. So with that in mind here, will they or should they make more moves yet? Or can they even for that fact? Kind of. We'll talk about how they can do it, what moves they can actually make at this point, and what options are even left for them on the table, both in regard to two-way contracts, the trade market, free agent market, and if they or when will they address that final roster spot. We'll talk about all of that and try to break it all down here. And well, to begin, I know I have to mention it, but right now they are currently capped by the first apron. They can't go over it after using their non-taxpayer mid-level exception, and at this point they're only $1 million below that first apron, which wouldn't be enough to even fit a veteran minimum contract under, not even a minimum second round draft pick contract like a Duthero for example. Even he's making above that next season, so no. At this current moment they can't sign even a veteran minimum player. To get to that point they would have to offload salary off their team, maybe salary dumping a guy like Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, so on and so forth. They gotta make a trade without taking back more money in return. However, a move they don't have to offload salary to do is actually fill their remaining two-way contract spot. Following them waiving Trey Jemison, they have one available two-way contract, and I actually think they will fill that fairly soon here. Following Summer League in which a bunch of players showed out and likely are now kind of weighing their options on the open market, if there's a guy that really showed out and doesn't get a standard contract, I think the Lakers will and really should scoop them up via two-way contract. And well, my favorite option that's not been picked up yet, and a guy they actually worked out during the 2024 draft process, is David Jones. Throughout Summer League with the San Antonio Spurs, and I'm absolutely shocked they have not given him a two-way contract, let alone a standard roster spot yet, the guy averaged a very impressive 22 points per game, on an absolutely insane 52% from the field and 51% from 3. Also averaging roughly 6 rebounds per game, 3.5 assists per game, over 1 steal per game, all around very impressive, and not to mention playing good defense while doing it. That was actually his calling card coming out of college. I think that's why they liked him, and I actually thought they might consider him for a two-way contract following that NBA draft. They didn't obviously, but this could be another opportunity for it. And if you're an OG member of the channel, you might even remember me talking about him. I think I talked about him as a potential second round draft pick if they would buy another draft pick, if he would go undrafted, then picking him up via two-way contract. I really did like David Jones, and I would be absolutely remiss if he doesn't get picked up via two-way contract, especially if the Spurs don't sign him and the Lakers don't capitalize on that opportunity. After all, their remaining spot they really don't have filled via two-way contract is a bigger wing player. They have their backcourt player now with Chris Mannon, who is a very good point of attack defender, very committed defender, and I like his upside, despite him not being a very good three-point shooter and not quite ready offensively yet. Also have their center spot filled with Christian Koloko, bringing him back via two-way contract. I like that addition for them, or rather re-addition, but they don't have that small forward and again kind of bigger wing spot filled. For me personally, I like to kind of diversify the two-way contracts across all 3 spots, one being a backcourt player, one being a wing player, then the third one being a center. And like I said, that third spot could be filled by a wing player. I would fill that third spot with a wing player, which could potentially be a David Jones for example. Okay, quick update, he just got signed by San Antonio, go figure. Just as I was about to upload the video, I got the Shams notification, him saying that the Spurs signed David Jones to a two-way contract and therefore he is off the board here. So for a different option, as I won't leave you guys out to dry here, a different Summer League option that really stood out to me and really played well was Dink Pate. A guy that many thought would be drafted, at one time was a projected first round draft pick, but did go undrafted and is currently not under a two-way contract, or at least not while I'm talking about this. So hopefully no one picks him up by then and he might be a good two-way option for the Lakers. Throughout Summer League he averaged roughly 10 points per game, shot 50% from the three-point line on 9 of 18 shooting. That was the primary concern with him, so did show a lot of potential in that regard. Defense is not and probably never will be a problem for him. Is a good on-ball defender, has great athletic ability, great height and length, and does have the ability to match up 1 through 3 and even 1 through 4 at times. Definitely a lot of potential here with Dink Pate. Only 19 years old, would fit their young player timeline that they want to build around Luka Doncic. Could potentially turn into a 3-and-D wing. Does have plenty of upside, much like Chris Mannon, so I'd take a hard look at getting paid here. But apart from filling their vacant 2-way contract spot, going back to their vacant 15-man roster spot, and if they will or if they should look to fill that anytime soon, I guess they could. It definitely would take a salary dump move first, like I mentioned before, whether that's with a guy like Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, even Rui Hachimura. They would have to do that first, and then they could fill it thereafter. And let's say they do that. Whether it's salary dumping Gabe Vincent, which again I think is the most likely option for them, trading him and not getting back a backcourt player in return for him, then I think an option for them could be a guy like GP2, Gary Payton II. If they would move on from Gabe Vincent and don't take back a backcourt player in return for him, then I imagine they probably would have some interest in Gary Payton II. He's been linked to them from Brett Siegel of Clutch Points, also from Evan Sidery of Forbes, I think even a few other reports after that point. I think a big part of the relation to it and why he's suddenly been linked to their team is from him switching agents to now Bill Duffy, the current agent of Luka Doncic, who's been helping the Lakers recruit free agents, the agent of DeAndre Ayton, and the agent of Jackson Hayes. And the Lakers are the only team that Bill Duffy has 3 or more clients on, so it kind of does hint at him kind of helping them sign players, obviously Luka being kind of his top client, either between him or Anthony Edwards, as he does have a pretty long client list, but I think at this point he's kind of helping free agents go to their team, definitely working with Rob Pelinka and the Lakers front office, both with DeAndre Ayton and even Jackson Hayes for that fact, likely working with Luka Doncic on a future contract coming up in a few weeks, so there definitely is a good relationship between Bill Duffy and his current clientele list, which, like I said, does include Gary Payton II. Now again, with their current roster, I wouldn't be that interested. Obviously, they can't even sign him with their current first apron space, but if they would trade Gabe Vincent, if they don't take back a backcourt player in that trade, then I would have some interest in GP2. Though apart from GP2, a different option and kind of an outlandish option, if he would clear waivers, could actually be Jordan Goodwin. Yes, they're actually eligible to re-sign him if they make space for him and if he doesn't get picked up by a different team, though I'm not going to talk about it too much as I really do think he will get picked up, and he should get picked up for that fact. If he would clear waivers, I would be absolutely shocked. If he didn't immediately get offered, and probably multiple offers to a different team, maybe to a better contract and a pathway to more playing time than the Lakers offered, then at that point I definitely would be interested in it, but I kind of doubt it, so unfortunately I don't think he will be an option, even if they do clear up space, though I definitely would like to see it with Jordan Goodwin. But apart from a backcourt player, and if they would trade Gabe Vincent for a backcourt player in return and actually fill that spot, or if they would trade a Maxi Kleber or Rui Hachimura, then still don't address their need for a 3-and-D wing, then I definitely look to fill that on the open market. Maybe with a guy like Amir Coffey, for example. There's not really a true 3-and-D wing left on the open market, and the closest thing to it probably would be Amir Coffey. Definitely has the 3-point shooting part down, is a plus 38% career 3-point shooter, coming off an incredible year of shooting 40% plus from 3, not to mention I think 45% plus on corner 3s, so very impressive in that regard. Isn't the best defender in the world, but also isn't a bad defender, probably good enough to qualify for the 3-and-D standard, is roughly average on defense. Can't expect him to take on the toughest matchup on the court and actually win that matchup, but won't hurt you on defense, isn't a bad defender, is only 28 and does have good height and length, so I definitely would and currently do have interest in Amir Coffey if they would find a way to actually get him on their team and open up space for him under that first apron. And those are kind of my current picks for the free agent market. Again, they obviously have to do a move first before they can even sign a free agent, but if they would, then I definitely would have interest in Amir Coffey, GP2, Jordan Goodwin if he would somehow clear waivers, but that's kind of the limit to my list. Might have interest in guys like Malcolm Brogdon, Cody Martin, obviously Al Horford or DeAnthony Melton, but they're pretty much guaranteed to sign with Golden State at this point, so my short list would probably be simply that: Amir Coffey, GP2, and Jordan Goodwin, maybe with Malcolm Brogdon and a few other names slipped into that list, but primarily those 2 or 3. Again, if we're talking about a 2-way contract, then that list would definitely be expanded, and they can make that move without doing anything first. My top pick currently being David Jones, but I've seen mentions of Kai Jones, for example. Definitely not a 3-and-D wing or even a wing option for that fact, but many are enamored with his athletic ability. I think they kind of have that covered with Jackson Hayes, but wouldn't absolutely hate it. Is actually an NBA ready player, so could give them a third or fourth option in their front court. I guess wouldn't be opposed to that. Other Summer League mentions could definitely be a viable option here too. Standouts from Summer League, guys you could mention on the San Antonio Spurs, Charlotte Hornets, so on and so forth. There are plenty of guys that really played well and could be an option for a two-way contract. And like I said, I think filling that two-way contract spot is probably the most likely final move, quote unquote. Yes, they technically could make a trade yet, could make a trade or simply a salary dump move to then sign a free agent, maybe a buyout market player, but I think they kind of want to evaluate this team first, see how badly they need to make a trade, and see how this team plays to kind of find out their biggest need. Again, I think that's kind of obvious with a 3-and-D wing, but I think they want to evaluate this team. I think the team they currently have is actually pretty damn good and actually could be a top 5 seed even as is, but if they want to try and perfect it, eventually they probably do need to make a trade, adding another 3-and-D wing, adding a two-way wing, whatever you want to call it. I think eventually they will have to get to that point, but between the trade market being what it is, their team being pretty solid as it is, and them wanting to evaluate and not make too many moves quite yet, then I wouldn't be shocked if they enter the season with this current team, just with an additional two-way contract with the 15-man roster. But with all of that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the Lakers team, and if they will or if they should make one more move to it? Do you think they should? And if they do you think it will be a two-way contract with a 15-man roster addition, with a trade, or simply none of it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one, and if you enjoyed the video, then I would greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.